Okay, this is my prediction for the college football championship. Now, you can take this with a grain of salt because I thought Clemson was going to beat Ohio State. I thought they were going to beat them pretty good, and actually, Ohio State thrashed them. Okay, Ohio State's having some COVID issues now, and there's rumors that they could be without a whole unit, and it's probably going to be the defensive line. And Ohio State's secondary is not very good. Their only chance of stopping Alabama was going to be their defensive line could get pressure on Mac Jones and also stop Harris. And then that's still a big if. So without the strongest part of their defense, with their strongest part of their defense, I'm not sure they could have stopped Alabama more than 4 times. And only stopping a team 4 times in a college game where there's a lot of possessions. Let me just say this. I thought Alabama was going to beat Ohio State pretty good with no COVID issues. If there are in fact COVID issues, this isn't going to be a game. And if you're Alabama, you should want the best Ohio State team because you guys can beat them. Well, I think I'm not an Alabama fan, but I respect Nick Saban. I don't respect the tweet that his daughter had, but I respect Nick Saban. And as a football coach, as a recruiter, as a developer, and I've seen what Ohio State's been on a secondary this year, and I've seen that, Mac Jones, you guys, Alabama's always scored a certain number of points. Now, sometimes you give up a lot of points, but you always score a lot of points. Ohio State, they struggled to score against some teams. Did you see that Northwestern game? Now that was against Chris Olave, but one receiver, Olave, but one receiver shouldn't shut you down like that. I'm an Ohio State fan. I love Ohio State, but without the defensive line, I really don't see how Ohio State's going to win. And to be honest, I'm not making excuses. Even with the defensive line, I don't see them beating Alabama. I mean, I think even with Fields being the best player on the field, and he might be against that game, but then and actually I think Ohio State's receiving wide receivers, I think they're just as good as Alabama's. Devontae Smith is the best wide receiver, but Ohio State is deep in that position. I think that's kind of a wash, and I think Fields has a better upside than Mac Jones, but Harris is a beast. I think Ohio State offensive line, defensive line might be a little better. I don't know. But our secondary, Ohio State's secondary is not very good. So, I mean, I just don't logically see how Ohio State secondary can stop Alabama. On the other hand, I see Alabama, if Fields has a bad game, I see you guys holding him to less than 21 points. If he has a good game, he might score 42. He might if he has a really good game. But if he scores 42, if there's that many possessions, I don't see Alabama not scoring more than 50. So yeah, my respects to Alabama in this game, and I think Ohio State they got that lead, and then they kind of played prevent and just kind of tried to get the game over with. Alabama, you guys did the same with Notre Dame. You guys were up 21-7. That wasn't a game, and everyone knew it wasn't a game. Now Ohio State's a better team than Notre Dame, but I do think that Bama, though, if you want a game without an asterisk, you should want the Ohio State defensive line to get there because that's like the best part of their defense. Do you really want to play a weakened team? So just from the spirit of sportsmanship, it's not like an injury. We're playing. This is COVID times. So yeah, it would leave probably a bad taste in my mouth, but either way, I don't know if it really makes much of a difference. I see Bama winning, and also Fields. I don't know about his injury. Sometimes when you get injured, your adrenaline keeps you going, but this is a couple days after that injury. This is 10 days after the injury. He was in pain throwing 10 yards. He's got to be spot on. Some of his passes were just dimes that he passed against Clemson. I don't know. the I predict Alabama, and I don't say they're going to lose. I think they're going to win by more than a touchdown. I think they're going to win by, it might be a blowout, but I think they're going to win definitely. And I don't like to say that because I'm a Buckeye fan, but this is another factor. Ohio State was so focused on Clemson, and I didn't realize how focused they were until that game. And Ohio State, people who think that that was just like Ohio State would lose to Clemson 9 out of 10 times, not that game. Ohio State, they weren't going to lose that game. Now that I saw the trailer to that game, if you Ohio State trailer to Clemson game, if you see that trailer and how focused they were in on Clemson, you'll see that it wasn't a coincidence that they won. But I kind of think that they kind of spent all their energy on Clemson, and I just don't see them rebounding and getting refocused again against Alabama. I mean, I don't see it. Maybe if they focused all year on Alabama, I think Ohio State definitely could have beat them. But in this situation right now, I don't see it. And it's unfortunate that, in the playoff situation, there seems to almost always be a season, except two, where the four seeds really haven't been as good as the first three. And usually the one seed kind of gets a break, which the four seeds really, usually the ones have a really big advantage. And, Ohio State's coming into this game beat up when Alabama, they had an easier way with Notre Dame. But, yeah, no excuses. As an Ohio State fan, I consider this a good year. Playing in the national title game, and even though I don't think they're going to win, you still have a chance. I mean, heck, what would happen? I know that it seems crazy, but there's always a hope that Wade could return Mac Jones a couple times for a pick six, and there could be a fumble, and you never know what's going to happen. It's college kids, right? But anyway, thank you for listening, and I just want to tell Alabama fans I respect you guys, but I encourage you to want the best Ohio State team. Now, if a guy's injured, that's one thing, but if we're missing a whole unit, if we're missing our defensive tackle unit, do you really think you want to play that team? I mean, there's going to be an asterisk by it. So, anyway, thank you very much. God bless you.